What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to check this one out. So we got that Minnesota representative Ilhan Omar in some serious trouble after finding herself wrapped up in the middle of a $250 million COVID fraud scheme, said to be one of the largest during the pandemic, guys, and I'm excited to get into it. So we're not hop straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also want to briefly apologize for folks I've been seeing in the comment section saying that your likes are disappearing or your comments are disappearing. Just want to take the time to say that YouTube is being a little bit weird. Maybe you're messing around with creators and their channels. So just want to say that I do appreciate you guys. Your viewership, your support means the world to me. But guys, let's get straight into this. Check this one out.
I'm also asking Congresswoman Craig to initiate an ethics investigation into Congresswoman Omar because of questions about federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, federal student loan fraud, and state violations of perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and acts of campaign fraud abuse in Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, and Florida. There are also violations of state ethics or of the Minnesota House ethics rules regarding colleges for speeches she gave while she was in partial control of their budgets as a member of the House Higher Education Finance Committee in both 2017 and 2018. She was found guilty of the violations by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board 3 weeks ago in order to return those funds on June 6th. Ms. Omar appears to be a serial career criminal and should not have access to our nation's highest secrets and intelligence.
Another suspect is behind bars tonight, facing federal charges in the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. The suspect captured at the airport before boarding a flight to Dubai. Lou Ragoose is here with our top story. Lou?
Julie, we told you last week how the federal raid of a St. Paul nonprofit signaled that the U.S. Attorney's Office is not done charging new suspects in this case. Today, they said that as soon as news of that raid broke, Hebo Dar booked an urgent international flight.
Hebo Dar is now the 71st person to be charged in the $250 million Feeding Our Future pandemic meal fraud case. Court records show she claimed to serve 1 million meals to children out of this office in a business center on East Hennepin Avenue and collected $2.4 million in taxpayer money. But federal investigators believe her meal site, Northside Wellness, was fake and that she only spent less than $2,000 on food. According to the criminal complaint, Dar's case included all the telltale signs of the sprawling fraud. She wrote checks to Hadith Ahmed, a Feeding Our Future employee who's already pleaded guilty and says checks like those were bribes. There are emails Dar sent to Amy Bach, the former executive director of Feeding Our Future, convicted by a jury this year, including meal count sheets the FBI says are fake. In those meal counts, the complaint says that by April 2021, Dar claimed to be serving about 40,000 meals to children every week. After Bach was convicted, it was unclear whether the feds intended to charge any additional suspects in the case. But late last week, the FBI raided a St. Paul nonprofit, New Vision Foundation, signaling they weren't finished. As news of that raid spread, prosecutors say Dar booked a flight to Dubai, set to leave 3 days later. The FBI arrested her at the airport before she could board. In court, the prosecutor said they informed Dar in April that she was one of the new targets of their investigation. They told the judge they believe she tried to escape, thinking charges are coming soon.
Now in court, Dar's lawyer said that she was just traveling to visit her sick mother. But then she got caught in a lie, claiming that she hadn't traveled overseas since 2022. The prosecutors then pulled out her passport right in the courtroom and showed that she had been traveling regularly since then to several countries. She is now in the Sherburne County Jail. Julie?
Every time you think this story can't take another twist, it does.
Seems like it.
Any idea if there are more people that are going to be facing charges? Any indications?
Absolutely there are. We just don't know a number and how close the FBI is to filing those charges yet. But yeah, they are going to make another round of charges sometime here.
All right, guys, so this story has been gaining a lot of headway, lots of media coverage. I actually found an article here on Fox News that dives a little bit deeper. Let's briefly check it out. It says Kash Patel now calls out the $250 million pandemic nutrition program as theft and as shameless as it gets, with 70 indicted in Minnesota. It starts by saying a $250 million fraud scheme that exploited a federally funded children's nutrition program during the COVID-19 pandemic has been described by FBI Director Kash Patel as, quote, one of the worst in Minnesota history. The FBI director told Fox News in a statement that 70 people in Minnesota have been indicted for their role in the sprawling Feeding Our Future fraud scheme during the COVID-19 pandemic, which exploited a federal program designed to reimburse states for the cost of feeding children. Conspirators falsely claimed to have served millions of meals during the pandemic, but instead used the money for personal gain. Of the individuals indicted, 38 have pleaded guilty. FBI officials told Fox News Digital more than a dozen of the individuals are waiting criminal trial, with the next trial beginning in August. All right, you guys, so I know you're probably hearing this story and like, okay, so how is Representative Ilhan Omar connected in this? And I'm going to explain to you how. We got this tweet here from Dr. Carl on X that says Ilhan Omar of Minnesota personally promoted Safari Restaurant in 2020 while it was running the now infamous Feeding Our Family Future scam. The owner, who donated to her campaign, also claimed to serve 6,000 kids daily but stole $16 million in taxpayer funds. Now 12 of them are indicted. Okay, so we're seeing that this is Ilhan Omar's connection, her tie to this Feeding Our Family scam, where she came out and she was personally promoting this Safari Restaurant, who was also linked in with the Feeding Our Family, said to have been serving these meals to children, but instead pocketed all the money. And guys, I don't think it gets any worse than this. I mean, the corruption, it runs deep, but then to bring the children into it, I mean, what about the kids that were actually hungry? These kids, you're lying and saying you're feeding them meals, but yet you're just stealing money. You're laundering all the money. All this COVID pandemic relief funds are going straight into the pockets of these individuals. Not to mention they were in support as well of Ilhan Omar's campaign. And just when you thought this story couldn't get any worse, we're seeing the ringleader now going down guilty on all charges, being found guilty by the jurors after just 5 hours of deliberation. This coming after 5 weeks of testimony, 5 weeks of information being given to the jurors. It took them only 5 hours to find these individuals guilty. Check this out.
Joining us at 4, I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. We're following some breaking news right now. In the last hour, a jury has found the ringleaders of the largest pandemic aid scam in the country guilty on all charges. Lou Raguse joins us now live from court with the latest. Lou.
Rena, the jury needed just 5 hours of deliberation. That is 1 hour for each week of testimony they heard during this trial for Amy Bach and Salim Saeed. Bach, the alleged mastermind of the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. She's the former executive director. Evidence in the trial showed that she signed and submitted every single count for reimbursement, certifying that the number of meals claimed to be served to children was correct. The evidence also showed that Bach signed every reimbursement check, all the millions and millions of dollars paid out to these meal sites. Salim Saeed was one of the first and biggest participants in the fraud scheme. He used to own Safari Restaurant in South Minneapolis. Once they joined the meal program in April 2020, right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, within weeks, they were claiming to serve 6,000 kids every single day. Both of these defendants took the witness stand, and both of them told stories that the jury did not believe. They convicted these two on a total of 28 counts, including wire fraud, conspiracy, federal programs bribery, and more. Now, after the verdict today, we heard from Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson. He has led the prosecution of this case from the very beginning, as well as the attorney for Amy Bach, Kenneth Udoy Bach. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Feeding Our Future case has come to symbolize the problem of fraud in our state. It has become the shame of Minnesota. Hopefully, today's verdict will help turn the page on this awful chapter in our state's history.
I'm disappointed. I didn't anticipate it. It came too quickly. And the amounts of evidence in this case, I cannot imagine how they would have gone through it. Looks like their minds were made up earlier.
Now, that last statement by Udoybach that they must have had their minds made up earlier, I know that's something that anyone who's given 5 or 6 weeks of their life for jury service would take issue with. The jury did leave the federal courthouse here just within the last half hour. They did not want to comment immediately after rendering their verdict. Both Bach and Saeed were immediately taken into custody, so they will stay in jail until their sentencing date, when they will be sentenced to prison. We don't know exactly what their sentence will be yet, but based on the sentences of past defendants, they are each looking at least 20 years in prison. We'll have much more coming up. Back to you.
Lou, that comment, it seems like they already had their minds made up. Was that some sort of indication that there might be an appeal coming?
I'm sure there certainly will be an appeal, but this was a case that had so many exhibits, so much testimony, so much evidence, that I'm sure that the federal government is confident in their chances of maintaining this conviction on appeal.
So that Feeding Our Futures fraud scheme was just one instance, one situation where we see Ilhan Omar directly connected to corruption. So I'm not saying that she is a corrupt figure and that she's going to go down in this. We have seen 71 arrested so far and a couple convicted, including those 2 ringleaders. But it just seems like Ilhan Omar is always in a very close vicinity when there is corruption nearby. I mean, it just seems like she's connected to all of this. I've got one more instance to show you guys that kind of connects Ilhan Omar. She's in the same vicinity as corruption when it goes down. Check out this next story on her husband.
The congressional race between Ilhan Omar and Don Samuels got some extra heat this week with accusations of fraud against a business partly owned by Representative Omar's husband. Fox 9's Corin Hogger joins us now in the newsroom after digging into what's behind this legal fight. All right, Corin, what is Omar's connection to these accusations?
Karen, it's nothing directly. Her husband is Tim Minette, and his consulting firm legally got about $3 million from her 2020 campaign. Now he's a business partner in a few business ventures that are involved in lawsuits claiming his companies have made money disappear. Don Samuels seized on reports of fraud against the husband of Representative Ilhan Omar, his opponent in the race for Congress. At a press conference Thursday, I asked him when a spouse's business ventures should become fair game for political attacks.
When the funds are from family source, especially when the family source of those funds come from the public.
A decade ago, the FBI investigated whether Samuels used his position on Minneapolis City Council to funnel money to his wife's nonprofit.
It was based on no facts. I was running for mayor, and evidently somebody wanted to take me out.
He says the FBI dropped it soon after he gave an interview. In the case of Tim Minette, whose LinkedIn page shows he was a partner in the E Street Group along with Will Haler, there's no publicly known criminal investigation, but there may be something behind the scenes.
We have connected with federal law enforcement on this. I believe that they're looking into it as we speak.
Ned Horsted is the CEO of a South Dakota cannabis company that gave Haler and Minette's company $3.5 million to kickstart investments, but ended up with about $1.8 million back and a court judgment, an IOU for the other $1.7 million. Omar's office tells me she has no involvement in any business ventures, and the situation reeks of political desperation. Horsted says he never dealt with Omar and didn't even have direct conversations with Minette, but he's not convinced they're unaware.
If you have a 2-person business and one of them is a spouse of a member of Congress, it seems suspicious, to say the least, that they never knew about $3.5 million that came into the bank account. They never knew that 1.7 went missing.
The lawyers for Minette and Haler say they absolutely did not intend to defraud anyone in that cannabis business or in a winery deal that's also the subject of a civil lawsuit. Haler referred me to the settlement in the cannabis deal and said the winery business has had some successes, but it's still a struggle.
I'm not saying that Ilhan Omar is a corrupt figure, but it's just very coincidental that every time some type of fraud scheme or scandal is going down, she is in the nearby close vicinity every single time. I had to give you guys a couple examples of Ilhan Omar, so you guys don't think I'm just making this up. I mean, it just all looks a little bit fishy. Then I added in a little tidbit here on the end. I actually ran across a clip that showed who else was coming out in support and actually celebrating with the Feeding Our Futures program that turned out to be a massive fraud scam abusing COVID pandemic relief funds. We've got Omar. If you guys don't know who he is the latest DNC endorsed candidate for mayor over in Minneapolis. And he's another one of those socialist Democrats fighting for all the wrong causes. Check this out.
My name is Omar. I'm the state senator for District 62, which is in South Minneapolis. I want to thank first all of you for sticking together, for working together, for fighting. I want to thank our organizers, Mahad, Ikram, other folks that helped lead this fight. And I want to thank also Amy and her team, Feeding Our Future, for making this first court victory a reality. So first, I want to say thank you to all of you. This was a fight that has been going on for a long time. I've been hearing about this for several months now. And when our office first got involved, it got involved because of all of you getting together. I remember Ikram calling us to an event here in South Minneapolis, organized by her and Amy. And at that time, we saw a couple hundred of you coming out, right? Speaking out about the stop payments, the money that was being stopped from your reimbursements. Immediately when I got there, I was extremely proud of all of you and surprised. And I had Dawson immediately take a picture of what was going on, and we emailed it out to the governor's office saying, this is a whole lot of folks that are being affected right now. And literally within minutes, it was a Friday afternoon that happened, within minutes they emailed us back saying, let's meet Monday morning. So that was because of the power of all of you that happened. And in that meeting, we were asking what was going on, and we asked very directly, was there any evidence of fraud? Was there any concerns or suspicions? And they told us that there was zero evidence. Nothing was there. So to us, that was immoral, what was going on. And I see this most recent victory coming from not just our office, but our other electeds, from Ilhan's office and Ali that's here, from the Feeding Our Future staff, from all of you coming together, because it's not just the East African fight, just like our brother just said right now. It was affecting our black community, our Latino community, our minority kids, our working families, all of us. And MDE and the state that's already failing all of us, coming in consistently last in terms of servicing our students of color, underperforming schools, and now to have this, I think it's immoral. And for this most recent news to come out that they're trying to make everybody come back and reapply, I think that's wrong, and it shows you that the fight is going to continue. And from what our office has been seeing, that this has been an ongoing issue from MDE, from DHS, whether it's a Democrat administration or Republican administration. Our communities are very concerned. This has been an ongoing thing. Folks that own group homes and home cares and working class people that have now gone into this, experiencing issues from MDH, but now MDE, they've seen this as an ongoing pattern, right? And what I can tell you right now is that the leadership hears you, that folks and at the Capitol hear you, that the pressure is really on, and that they see you, and that it is working. And just like you won in the court right now, I promise you, if you stick together, that our battle ahead, you will be victorious also. But I need all of you to continue to work hard, stick together, keep supporting Amy and showing up like you were doing right now, and don't back down. I know Mahad was talking earlier about folks saying it's a struggle for people to go against the government, and you don't do that. But right now, it's just not all of you. You got government fighting government too. I'm part of government, right? So you got government fighting government right now.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. Will you look at that? I mean, we're seeing that Ilhan Omar, Omar Fateh, They were both connected very deeply with the Feeding Our Futures fraud scandal, and I would not be surprised to see if they got called in or if they're even under investigation right now currently, because we've seen Omar saying there was no fraud, no evidence of corruption within the organization, that food program, but yet all these individuals, 71 people arrested, many convicted. And we're seeing this is an ongoing thing. They're not done. They're going to get to the bottom of this, not leaving any stone unturned. So, guys, I just wanted to point this out right here. The obvious. We're seeing Ilhan Omar always directly, or not, I wouldn't say directly connected, but definitely in the close proximity of this corruption. What didn't lead you to believe this Ilhan Omar, this corrupt figure, or is this all a figment of my imagination, guys? I'd definitely love to hear what you guys are thinking. So hop in the comment section. Comments are open. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like, but hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.